They asked me to choose a wife, and I chose the ugliest alien woman. Beginning. The chamber was vast, its ceiling curving like the inside of a colossal egg, lit with glowing veins of bioluminescent material that pulsed like the beat of a heart. I stood at the center, my human boots echoing against the living floor. Around me, rows of alien dignitaries, soldiers, and witnesses filled the terraces, their elongated forms shimmering under the organic light. This was not how I imagined my diplomatic mission would end. I had come to the planet Velora as Earth's representative. For decades, humanity had looked up at the stars, desperate for allies, desperate for survival after centuries of wars that left our planet limping toward ruin. Velora was the first advanced civilization willing to consider an alliance. But the Velorans had their customs, deep, ancient, immovable. And one of those customs was a binding ritual, marriage. To prove trust between species, a human had to marry one of their own. That human was me. A tall Veloran priest with 6 arms and a face like a crystalline mask raised his voice, echoing across the chamber. Ambassador Elias Ward of Earth, you must choose. Before you stand the daughters of Velora, each unbonded, each offered as symbol of union. My heart pounded as a group of women stepped forward. Alien women, each distinct, yet all undeniably alien. They were not like humans with mere cosmetic differences. They were tall, twice my height, their bodies glimmering with scales that caught the light like prisms. Some had long, silken tendrils instead of hair. Others had eyes the size of my fists, glowing with inner fire. Their beauty, in alien terms, was undeniable. But then my gaze fell on her. She stood at the edge of the line, apart from the others, as though reluctant to be seen. Her scales were dull, mottled gray instead of iridescent. One of her horns was broken. Her left arm ended in a twisted stump, poorly healed. Her face bore scars across her ridges, and her eyes, oh her eyes, were cloudy like stormy glass. Compared to the others, she was disfigured. Ugly, by every Veloran and human measure. I could feel the crowd's judgment already. Whispers hissed through the chamber, though I could not understand the alien tongue. The priest extended all 6 arms. Choose, ambassador. The bond you forge will determine the fate of your people. I swallowed. My mind flashed through everything at stake. If I chose the most radiant, the most perfect among them, perhaps the Velorans would see humanity as worthy. Perhaps Earth would gain powerful allies. But as I looked again at the scarred woman on the edge of the line, something shifted inside me. The others stood tall, proud, basking in the spectacle. But she? She shrank, shoulders hunched, eyes lowered, as though expecting rejection. She didn't expect to be chosen. She didn't even want to be here. And that was exactly why I stepped forward. I choose her, I said, my voice steady, though my heart hammered. I pointed directly at the ugliest alien woman. Gasps rippled through the chamber like a wave. The priest froze, his 6 arms stiffening. You choose her? Yes. The chamber fell into stunned silence. Middle. Her name, I would later learn, was Zyra. The ceremony was swift. Velorans wasted little time once a choice was declared. A golden fluid was poured over our hands, binding us in glowing threads of energy. Our names were etched into one another's skin in symbols that shimmered faintly. I was now bonded to her, not just in ritual, but in something deeper I didn't yet understand. After the ceremony, whispers followed us everywhere. Velorans stared at me with a mixture of horror, confusion, and even pity. Some shook their heads, others sneered openly. I could feel Zyra shrinking further into herself with every step, her movements small, apologetic. That night, in the quarters they gave us, silence hung heavy. She sat curled against one wall, keeping as much distance from me as possible. Her cloudy eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. Finally, I spoke. I'm sorry. She turned her head slowly. Her voice was gravelly, low, hesitant. Sorry, for what? For putting you in this position. I know you didn't expect to be chosen. Her lips parted, revealing sharp teeth. A sound emerged, half laugh, half bitter hiss. No. I expected nothing. No one ever chooses me. I am broken. Useless. Even my people cast me aside. Her words sank into me. I'd chosen her on instinct, but now I realized what that choice meant. She had lived in exile within her own kind, judged only by scars and imperfections. I leaned forward, speaking softly. Maybe that's why I chose you. Because you don't hide. You don't play the part. You're real. For a moment, her cloudy eyes softened. Then she shook her head. You made mistake. You could have had beauty power. Instead, you bound yourself to weakness. But in the days that followed, I began to see the truth hidden beneath her words. When envoys took us through Velora's cities, I noticed things others overlooked. The beautiful women, flawless and shining, carried themselves with arrogance. They expected deference. But Zyra, scarred, limping Zyra, watched everything. She noticed cracks in the walls, patterns in the streets, moods in the crowd. She whispered observations to me that proved startlingly accurate. One night, while we dined with high officials, a rival faction attempted to poison the ceremonial drink. Everyone laughed, blind to danger. But Zyra's cloudy eyes narrowed. She nudged my hand away, spilling the cup before I could drink. Later, when the truth was revealed, she saved not just my life, but the fragile treaty itself. Ugly, they called her. Broken. But I began to see her scars not as flaws, but as marks of survival. She had endured what others couldn't. She saw what others ignored. And slowly, the distance between us narrowed. In our quarters, she began to speak more. She told me of her childhood, how a collapse in the mining caverns crushed her arm and scarred her body. How healers saved her life but left her disfigured. How her people praised strength and beauty above all, and so she was discarded. No one wanted me, she whispered one night. Until you. Something inside me ached when she said it. As weeks passed, our bond deepened. Alienmarriage was not just ritual, it was psychic. Through the shimmering mark on our hands, I felt her emotions sometimes, a flicker of fear, a pulse of warmth, a shadow of loneliness. And she felt mine in return. We grew closer. Not in the grand romantic way of stories, but in quiet understanding. A hand brushing against another. A word spoken in the silence. Two outcasts, one scarred outside, one scarred inside, finding a strange kind of home in each other. But not everyone approved. One night, as we left the council chambers, a group of Valoran nobles blocked our path. Their leader, a tall figure with scales like molten gold, sneered. Earth's ambassador disgraces us, choosing the cripple when he could have chosen a queen. Zyra stiffened, lowering her head. But I stepped forward. You think weakness is in scars? Then you're blind. She's stronger than any of you. They laughed, mocking. Then let her prove it. Trial by shadow. If she survives, perhaps she is worthy. The trial by shadow was an ancient Valoran test, combat against a creature bred from darkness itself. No one scarred or broken had ever survived. I begged Zyra not to accept. But her cloudy eyes met mine, and she said, if I run they win. If I fight, maybe I prove them wrong. For me. For you. For us. And so, in the arena carved from living stone, under the glow of alien moons, she stood. Small, scarred, broken, and unyielding. The creature emerged, a beast of shadow, its form twisting, claws like obsidian. The crowd roared. I felt her fear pulse through the bond. But also determination. The fight was brutal. The beast lunged, tearing at the ground, its shrieks rattling the walls. Zyra dodged clumsily, her limp slowing her broken arm useless. The crowd jeered. But then I felt it through the bond, her focus, her cunning. She used what she had, the arena's cracks, the beast's blind rage. Each time it struck, she redirected it, leading it into stone walls, into traps of its own making. And finally, with one last cry, she drove a shard of stone through its throat. The beast collapsed, dissolving into mist. Silence. Then, slowly, the crowd erupted. Zyra stood trembling, bloodied, her scars burning with new wounds. But her head was high, her cloudy eyes blazing. And in that moment, no one dared call her ugly again. Ending. From that day, everything changed. The whispers turned to respect. Nobles who mocked her now bowed. The council recognized her strength, and by extension, the bond between Earth and Velora. The treaty was sealed, not through beauty, not through perfection, but through scars, survival and defiance. In private, I held her as she shook, the weight of it all crashing down. You did it, I whispered. She pressed her forehead against mine, her breath ragged. We did it. You chose me when no one else would. I will never forget. Years later, history would remember the treaty as the dawn of a new alliance. But for me, it was something simpler, something more human. I hadn't just chosen the ugliest alien woman. I had chosen the strongest, the bravest, the one who saw me as I was, just as I saw her. And in that choice, I found not just an ally for Earth, but a partner for life. The crowd's judgment had never mattered, because when I looked at her, scars and all, she was the most beautiful being in the universe.